have to change the terms of the lease. The
Right.
only thing they want to talk about is how much more rent we're going to pay.
Yeah.
We want to have a say in other things, particularly this capital improvements issue. So we want to continue with them, just on different terms.
Yeah, all right. How much can you go on paying? Where will it end?
It needs to.
When will the escalator finally reach a stop? At Ultima Thule, at infinity? You know, we want to turn this into a more equitable. I'd like to see a standard gross lease. The landlord pays out of his rents. And how do you determine a fair rental? Well, we want to do an appraiser.
Yes, I forgot to
Want to
mention
do an
that.
appraisal, and they're giving us static on the appraisal. We want to determine a fair rental. We want to stop paying each, every, and all costs that roll through this place for someone else's property. It's egregious.
Yes, okay.
It's egregious. Marilyn, come up to the microphone, please. Yes, dear, you've been waiting.
Christina Biuki, Chatham President. I have a question about meeting. I have 4 people in a building only. How can I make a meeting? It's enough to get a signature from, I can obtain signature from by mail, by email, but it's impossible for me to make a meeting.
That's why a limited proxy, the proxy says, whoever it is, we appoint you to vote for us at the meeting. So it could be 2 people that show up, but you have 30 proxies. So that's the way to do it.
Okay, thank
Right.
you.
Okay.
Olga.
My name is Olga Walkenstein, president of Northampton I. For many of you that have supported me in the past and the many of you that have not, I want you all to know that I am in full support of getting rid of that Millennium Agreement, which is a criminal offense in my understanding, okay?
All right, we'll bring them up before the Hague, not us, right?
So let's go for it, guys and girls, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, dear, you're next.
Oh, okay. My name is Deborah. I am representing Ken E. for our president, Linda.
A little closer to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I just have a question about this packet. Which pages, I mentioned it's 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 that have to go to our residents?
You send in the whole package.
The whole
though.
package.
The whole package.
Each and every
Right.
resident.
I was
Okay.
just, yours don't have the numbers on it. I was just doing it for
Okay.
today's tape. That's-
Right.
yeah, so that if you could look at it
Okay,
again.
so
yeah.
I can just copy?
The whole
what's-
package. The whole
okay,
package is
And then
going.
make sure each resident gets it.
Absolutely.
Well,
Right.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We don't want to overburden folks. If you need help copying, come into UCO.
David,
We'll help you out. Yes.
people are leaving.
I know.
It is getting later by the minute, and we still have a lot of things to discuss. Can we move along? I think there's been enough of the repetition of the.
All right. I think we've had enough of this subject for the moment. All right. You got that, Bruce?
I got it.
Ron.
Ron Rossoff, President Waltham C. My question is for Bruce. In general, from my reading, mediation sometimes or generally tends to favor the corporations. Now, we have 2 corporations, us and them.
Well,
I'm concerned about worst case outcomes. I mean, we won't know anything, but I'd like to know what we might be up against. Will we lose ground, or will we just get stuck with what they want?
if we lose, we can challenge it in court within 20
Okay.
days after that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
As a tech point, David?
We appoint one arbiter,
Oh, yeah, and they appoint.
they
one,
appoint another arbiter,
Then they join together.
and those 2 appoint,
Oh, and also the guy that I
The third.
interviewed in Juan, his grandparents owned a place here. He's in Orlando, but I thought that would kind of.
all right, we got to move along.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, real quickly.
We really do.
As a techie, just as something someone can maybe save David some work. While I was sitting here, I took a photograph and with a free program, converted it to a PDF. Once that happens, we send it to wherever you want to. You don't need to scan nothing. It's a free app to download and to use. If you're, well, Android, I can help you with that. If it's Apple, I don't know anything about it. But basically, you can sign your documents, take a picture with your camera. Every cell phone has a camera.
Terrific. Tell Donald about it, and we'll
Okay.
we'll get it going. Thank you.
Solid. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ron. All right, let's make this the last on this topic. Go ahead, dear.
Carolyn Speranza, Sheffield Q, and I will keep it brief. What you're proposing to do as far as the amendment to the lease is definitely a no-brainer. We've been taken over the coals for much too long. What it does in terms of affecting or not affecting any yearly increase, annual increase, that is something totally separate and apart that will be taken care of at a different point in time,
No,
or is that also going to be?
That's all part of it.
That'll-
Right, yes.
Okay. Obviously, the fees are reflected in
The
the
settlement, right.
billions of dollars that they've been
Right,
getting
if it's-
from us for capital improvements.
If it comes out to something less than
Exactly.
$13 million, you'll have something less than $137
Exactly.
a month.
And
Right.
we may find that WPRF, if we are successful in getting them to be responsible for capital improvements, we may find down the road that WPRF says, oh, next year, your annual fees or your monthly fees are going to go up $5.
No. That's all in the 10 years that we're
Okay.
talking about right now.
Okay.
No.
Most importantly, and again, that's a no-brainer. I think everybody should be going along with it. To keep things really simple, can't the association secretaries, president, whoever's going to do these mailings, just treat them like an annual meeting package? It contains a limited proxy. It contains an authorization. It requires them responding. It requires 14 days' notice. Do we have to worry about this one has an email, that one doesn't? Who did I mail it to? Who did I use internet? Just put it to, it might cost you a few dollars to copy and mail, but just put it together as a simple package. Mail it, get it back, and submit it. Keep it simple.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for your help.
All right. I think we are going to move along here. Marilyn's absolutely right. We'll be here all day. So let's move along to the officers' reports, and let's start with Dom. Hi, Dom.
Hello. Is Mike Norton? Can you hear me? Good morning. What had happened with the supposed poisoning in the water, if you wish, you can call the county, and the phone number is 822-2222. And they have told me that we have well farms behind Hastings in which our water comes from, so we aren't part of the water that goes to Lake Worth and in Clear Lake. So you people are free and clear. If you have a problem with liver or kidneys, you're exonerated from it because you're not exposed to that particular agent. Another thing, there have been almost 600,000 people in South Florida who came here from another state, turned in their license, and were reissued a Florida license. My thought is a lot of these people haven't had contact with what we have in the past, an annual hurricane season that can be mild or it can be severe. So if you're thinking of evacuating and getting in line and driving 400 miles to Georgia and find that another million people are up there looking for the same thing you are, it's going to be a mistake. You're going to have to try to exist in place. And that's pretty much it.
That's it?
That's it.
Sounds like a good article for the paper.
I have one on page 6 in the in the paper that if you haven't read it, it's there.
All right, Dom.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to hear from the editor-in-chief of our paper next, Ruth Dries.
Hello, everybody. I'm going next. I'm not an officer, but what I have is important for you. Tony, our chair of insurance, was in the audience, but she's left. She's asked that when you leave, pick up your insurance flash drive in the lobby. They're being handed out there. Sign for it, take it. Anyone not here can pick it up in the office afterward. But on your way out, pick up your flash drive. Hope you all got your papers last Saturday. I work hard to put it out. Please read it. Thank you.
All right, Bob.
You saw me out in the lobby earlier.
What?
People saw me out in the lobby earlier.
Oh,
hopefully.
okay.
I got petitions here for a recall of Mary Patrick. She has not done her job. If people can't understand it, think about your president not doing his job, okay? If your president doesn't do his job, do you want to elect that person? Do you want him out of office? Now, this person has not done her job at all. Plain and simple. All right? I got stuck doing her job, and
You do
Very
it
simple.
excellently.
very simply, if she doesn't get out of office, I'm going to stop doing her job, and she can come do it.
All right.
Because this is not going to happen anymore.
All right. Anything else, Bob?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right. Stuart.
Very short comments. Please, when you come into the UCO office, take the chip off your shoulder and be very civil, because we've been dealing with some people that are extremely nasty. They don't understand we're all volunteers. Please check your IDs to make sure they're up to date, because people are coming in with IDs that are old, and we have to send them back to WPRF to get updates, and they get angry with us. And we ask for Century Village IDs, and they show us their driver's licenses, and that's not what we're interested in. One last issue. There's a guy walking around in Century Village down the main street reading a book. We've seen him more than once. Please pay attention as you drive, because if you knock him off, it could be very costly to you. And that's it.
All right. Stuart raises a very good point. Our lobby has been manned by UCO officers literally for months. We need volunteers. We also need an admin, administrative assistant, and that is one of the 2 paid positions at UCO. Now, you won't get rich in that position, but I think we could definitely use an admin who's computer literate. Think about it. Moving right along. Treasurer's last. David.
Good morning. Just a quick update on what David talked about with the transportation. The current contract ends at the end of the year. We have 3 bids and possibly a 4th vendor, and we will soon be opening those bids and then going through the proper procedures to select one of the vendors for the contract. And David said about the admin, people that had applied before, please reapply. It's been a tough time, so it might have gotten lost in the shuffle. So if you had applied before, don't hesitate to reapply. Thank you.
Thanks, David. And last but not least, way down there, Fausto.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to sit next to Dr. No and Dr. Gloom. I have a couple of thoughts. One, Stuart touched on it. Be civil when you come to the UCO office. I know that most of the residents are very happy that we are there. A lot of the renters are happy, but there are a few people that come down who keep telling us that they know everything and everything is done at the UCO office. We do not take money. You cannot pay your WPRF bill, your electric bill, your telephone bill, your Atlantic Broad. Don't put them in the mailbox. We had Tuesday morning, we had somebody pay their WPRF bill and put it in our mailbox. Okay? We don't do that. Second, for all the presidents and officers of your building, don't send the buyer, the seller, or the realtor to the office with your paperwork. We're not going to take it. And people stand there and yell at us. I've always done it. No, you have not. At least for the last year and a half, the paperwork needs to be brought in by an officer. So do your job. And if you can't handle bringing, and I've seen some people that can barely walk that can come down with a walker and a cane and drop off paperwork. People that have 2 good arms and 2 good legs should be able to take 5 minutes and drop off their paperwork. And there's a lot of mistakes being done on the paperwork, and that's why you need to learn it. I hate to be the preacher, but I always wanted to be a lawyer. So the next part is, personally, I don't want to discuss my personal situation, but review your bylaws, get a hold of an attorney, update your bylaws, because we are getting killed. Most of the problems that we're having, when you sit down with an attorney, we're told it's not in your bylaws. You can't do this, you can't do that. So spend the time, spend the effort, get a hold of an attorney, review your documents and your bylaws to help you govern your building. And with that, have a good weekend. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Fausto. Last but not least, our treasurer, Ed Grossman, who will briefly report to you.
Excuse me?
You will briefly report to us.
Briefly. Hello, goodbye. That's pretty. We're all going for coffee. I will be brief. I'll make an overall statement, which I made at the last delegate assembly. While I've been an officer for a long time, that was the only second delegate assembly that I've gone to. A lot of the topics that were discussed, some of them have a real financial impact. For instance, and I'm just going to comment on it, David mentioned the lawsuit. He mentioned that we would have to buy 2 buses. It's complicated. He mentioned that we had to pay the plaintiff a fee for her his discomfort. I'm sorry. I calculate that a little bit different than David. We have a cost for the litigation, we have a cost for the plaintiff, and we have a cost for the 2 buses that we're going to get immediately, although we're buying them, and at the end of a period, we may be able to sell them and rent them back. I calculate that roughly at $250,000, which was not in the budget. It couldn't be, because our budget goes back to 2019. Another thing, we had Mr. Kaplan here, who I had the pleasure to work with on the Millennium Agreement. We have in our reserves a legal reserve, so his fees are being charged directly to our reserves, which will be replenished at another time. Also, at the last meeting, I mentioned that I thought I would be able to bring our audited report to the next meeting, which this is. I have a draft. We reviewed it. We sent it back. We're awaiting the final. So, unfortunately, we could have had it. The accountant decided to take a vacation and didn't ask us. Overall, we're holding our own. In your packet, I prepared several reports. If you notice, the main reports are titled the P&L versus the budget. Well, that's very important, because if you notice, both on an individual month basis and a 5-month basis, we're somewhat below what the 2019 budget is. I also want to clarify something which was brought up. These reports clearly state P&L against the budget. But this is not a P&L, profit and loss, that you would normally see. And on the bottom it says net income. Well, it really isn't net income. It is the money that's available to put into our reserves after we pay all our expenses. And in each case, it's more than sufficient. So that's as brief as I could be. I think for what has happened, we've done a terrific job, and that's a lot has to do with all the offices, with Mr. Israel, and with several people who have come in on a regular basis to volunteer. And I'm going to, just in general, reiterate two things. One, I had the pleasure of working with Bruce Kaplan. My personal opinion as an officer, as a unit owner, is that we should go forward because it's definitely unconscionable that we're paying for every single thing, and it makes it difficult for us to project.
All right.
Other than that, I'm willing to go through any item, and within a week or so, as soon as I get the certified report, I will bring copies to the office. I welcome any questions. I don't know if I could answer all of them, but I will try. I want to wish you.
Any questions for Ed? All right. Come, please. I see question.
David, don't forget Donald is here.
Who?
Donald.
You're going to have to unmask your filter. Oh, yeah, I haven't forgotten Cam. It's on the agenda. Yes. Get close to the mic so we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Annette Saparis. I'm from Windsor.
Can't hear you.
That was loud. My name is Annette Saparis. I'm from Windsor D. And I have a question about the wheelchair issue.
Okay, look, dear, you got to
Let's
get
go
real
this
close
way.
to the mic.
Okay. I have
Get
a
close
question
to the
about
mic.
the wheelchair issue. Okay, I know as far as within the village, we do have our own, you still can't hear me?
I didn't hear.
We have our own ambulance service.
Yes.
And I believe there's a special phone number for that. Why wouldn't we have something that for handicap situations instead of having to have a specific bus where certain people who require those services can just call the number and register or, be put on a schedule to be picked up or taken somewhere, just like normal handicapped people do on the outside.
All right. I don't want to play attorney, but one of the key components of the lawsuit was that it had to be equal in all respects to the services available to all other residents. What you're talking about, let's say you're talking Palmtran Connect, which you have to engage 24 hours in advance, and there's a $3.50 charge. This was rejected out of hand by this plaintiff. The plaintiff demanded that the bus service for the plaintiff be identical in all respects to all other users in the village. And by the way, this plaintiff is not the only handicapped person in the village. Believe me, the plaintiff is not the only person confined to a wheelchair. So I'm not sure I'm answering your question because bits and pieces I didn't hear, but
I only asked because I've dealt with a lot of handicapped people in the past, and I do have people in the family that have been handicapped, have taken the service, and it works very well.
I understand.
And she also used to take my daughter when she was little on the service with her, so she was able to bring other people. And I just was wondering why that wouldn't be a normal
The,
situation
the
here
option
in
for
West
Palm
Palm
Tran
Beach.
was
And-
brought up right at the beginning, and it was rejected by her legal team out of hand.
Thank you.
All right?
Yeah, that answers it. Thank you. I had to ask the question.
Yeah, it's fair. It's
I-
fine.
I find it valid. Thank you.
Who? Yes, tell us who you are.
Okay. Mary Ann Somerset G. Rodriguez. I wanted to address the thing about the realtors.
Real estate?
Yeah, the realtors that come around to your building. Make sure that you're aware of what's going on with them. I had the realtor come to the building, and as the president, she asked me to fill out notepads, whatever. On the bottom, she wanted me to sign it. I said, I'm not putting my signature on this at all. That was fine. The next day, she came back to ask me about the fees. And as she's flipping through her papers, I see she signed my name to that paperwork that I refused to sign. I made her scratch it all off, and I told her that's illegal. You're not allowed to sign presidents' names to anything without their knowledge. I refused yesterday. You came back today, and by accident, I seen my name signed by you. So people, when these real estate agents come, you have the right to engage in them if you feel something's wrong or they're saying something that's not true about your building. Engage. And if you get nothing done, go to UCO, speak to one of these guys here because they know better than anybody. So don't let these realtors run a shotgun over you because it's wrong.
All right, if you have any such issues as we've just heard about, please get a name, best yet get a business card and refer it to our CAM at UCO.
I do have all that, which I will refer it to.
And we will route this scurrilous individual.
Another issue is, I'm sure it was brought up last month, I didn't attend, another member did, the iguana situation. It is out of control. They are on people's, especially if you have a short back onto the lake, they are right up to their doors.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm going to suggest that if an iguana is coming to a resident's door, there's a distinct possibility that the resident is feeding that creature. A few years back, we had a resident that was feeding whole chickens to alligators. Please, people, these are wild animals. And I understand the little dinosaurs are very attractive, particularly to kids. They have a nasty bite, and they can hit you with their tail and do a lot of damage. All right? And now we have, I think Bob had another message. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, Carolyn Sprans again, Sheffield Q. She just brought up a very good point. We have some lock boxes on some units that are either for sale or for rent. And I've been finding more and more that people, potential buyers, renters, are allowed to go in. They've been given the codes to the lock boxes by the brokers with no broker being present. That has to be illegal, number one. Two, how are these people getting into the village? Who's calling them in? Does the broker, do all brokers have the right to easy access in and out of the village?
All right, as much information as you can give us, give the CAM. In some cases, we can turn off call-in systems, but we need information to try to figure out, do a little traffic analysis and figure it out. The realtors know all the tricks of getting people in here.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Bob, you had something else?
Yeah, the last page in your packet has the delegate officer and CERT contact reports, the ones that I've been harping on about for months. Please, if you do not have an updated one, please fill it out and bring it into UCO, and maybe Mary Patrick will come do them.
All right. Last but not least, Cam. Go get it.
Good morning, everyone. Just two things real quick. First is irrigation. We are in the middle of a pretty severe drought right now. exacerbating that problem is that our reclaimed water supply that comes from the county has been temporarily suspended for some technical reason at the plant I don't pretend to understand. You will notice that the lake levels and canal levels are quite low at the moment. It's the lowest I've ever seen. So we are forced to shut down pumps when basically there's no water on top of the intakes. At the moment, we have shut down the Dorchester pump behind the Dorchester pool. That'll affect irrigation at half of Dorchester, all of Canterbury, and all of Cambridge. So at the moment, if you live there, you're not getting any sprinklers, and we'll get those up as soon as water covering the intakes. If you are in one of those buildings and you have some new shrubs that you're fond of, get out there with the hose, hand water them, because you're going to need to. We'll get that service up as quickly as possible. And the last thing is trees. If you've noticed, there's been a lot of tree trimming on the property over the past few weeks. Most of it is on either UCO property or on property managed by Seacrest Services. If you have any questions about a particular tree, if it's on your property, go to your property manager. If it's on UCO property, come ask me. And if it's not, I'll direct you where it belongs. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. A lot of you guys ask me questions on the way out, but if you come ask me now, then everyone hears the question, which is good, because some of the questions are repetitive. Anyway, it's all I got. Thank you.
All right. I notice George has pointed out to me we missed Mike Pratt from the property appraiser's office. Is that right? That's right. All right.
Thank you, David, and thanks, George. Listen, I just have a very quick announcement, and we finally did secure our outreach program, and starting Thursday, September the 2nd, the property appraiser's office will be in the lobby from 1:30 to 2:30 every month to take homestead exemption applications for any of your new residents. So send them to us. We'll have a clerk there, and we'll stay there until we finish every application. So get the word out. Dorothy Jaggs gives you your regards, and that's all I really have. We'll see you.
All right, Mike. Don't forget to homestead if you haven't. And put it in the paper. Okay. Yes, dear, please.
I have one question. My name is Doreen Ulick, and I'm in Somerset L. Are associations allowed to put up signs, like a regular stop sign, but saying this is private property, no trespassing?
You can put no trespassing sign on your association property.
You can say it's private property?
Sure it can.
Oh, okay, thank you.
It's a simple board decision. You don't want it to be too obtrusive. I mean, there probably are some deep regulations buried in the Uniform Land Development Code about how big they can be, but yes, you can put signs up. Yes.
Quick statement, Marty from Somerset G, back to the iguana issue. Back to the iguana.
Yes.
It's not going to go away by itself. They have no natural predators. They're going to continue to proliferate, grow. It's going to be an issue. We're not feeding them, and they've been multiplying. Right now, we've probably got anywhere from 12 to 15 outside the Somerset G area. I can deal with it personally, or we as an association can deal with it. But the problem is we're dealing with a problem that's a community problem. It's a village problem. It needs to be addressed as a village issue. And I think we should start a committee or at least investigate this and potentially put it in the budget in future years so that it can get addressed, because it's just going to continue to get worse.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on that?
It's interesting to note, and I almost hate to mention